Our protagonist, called Seven, starts the story on top of a hill with a photo-written target in his hand. He jumps from the hill, landing on a building where this target was. He slices everyone who was there without the slightest difficulty and kills his target. Whoever the hired then praises him for being the best assassin in the world, but soon after he is killed by Seven, who says that someone else paid to kill him. He gives an evil laugh, but soon returns to reality where he is a broth seller at. A kid, whatever that is, despite a normal profession. He's not that normal, not because he can control scissors with his mind, until his friend who is a blue chicken convinces him to become one hitman to raise enough money to recover his memory at Stam, a company that is like the Google of this world. For those who don't know, he doesn't remember his past and wants to recover his memory. He imagines that this will be possible with this company's technology. This chicken then explains a little about the world of assassins to him and begins to train him, teaching some techniques such as camouflage, which is the only one that works, and others that go terribly wrong, showing that he's going to be a terrible killer. But he becomes one anyway, and his first job was to cut a bride's hair in the middle of her wedding. The groom's ex-girlfriend paid him to do it, just putting it in context. But when he was about to do that, he sees a slideshow showing the life of the bride and groom as children, and he wonders why he doesn't remember his past, and after traveling in his thoughts he notices that he accidentally cut the groom's hair, so he cuts the girl's hair bride and runs out. In the middle of the escape he finds a robot from that company called Stam that tries to kill him because of the amulet he has. He asks this robot who he is and why this company is trying to kill him, and when the robot was going to give his answer, he is killed by a masked girl, and his face with that was not good at all. She asks how he has an amulet of the League of Assassins, but the robot self-destructs, making them separate. He wakes up then in another place asking about the League of Assassins, and Frangeo Azul tells him that if he manages to be among the 100 best assassins in the world, several leagues will look for him, asking him to join them, and that way he will know more about it. Detail that he is at rank 17.00, so he has a lot of work ahead of. The scene cuts showing a bunch of cats on the roof of a house with their boss saying that they would soon start a war against the dog clan, and asking her subordinates if any one of them had some strategy. One of them says he found a card from an assassin and that they could call him to take care of the dog. This assassin, that is Seven, is called there and receives instructions for the mission. After that he disguises himself as a dog and enters their base. Sneaking around everyone who was sleeping, he arrives where their boss was and exchanges an idea with him. This boss asks what his name is, and he invents a name, but guess what? This was the same name as the boss. Then he is exposed and drops his disguise, starting a fight with this boss. The protagonist is beaten at the beginning, but a memory of his past awakens an absurd force in him that stops all the dog's attacks and breaks his weapon, which is a guitar. This anime doesn't make any sense, as you can tell, but this explosion of power from the protagonist doesn't last long, because he soon returns to normal and is immobilized by the dog. But at that moment he sees a photo that Seven was carrying and asks if a cat sent him. Seven reveals that yes, and the dog explains that this photo was from the time that the two were dating. He was a musician and met her in a presentation he did. The two fell in love for each other, but when he found out that cats and dogs can't breed, he left. She got mad at him for running away, but he says he still loved her, and Seven encourages him to go there and tell her that. That's exactly what it is what he does, appearing on roof where she was playing the guitar and singing to her like old time. A musical starts in the middle of the episode, and in the middle of the song he hugs her. But soon we find out that it wasn't the dog really, and yes, the Seven in disguise. I don't know why he did that, but it wasn't the best idea, because an assassin appears there and interrupts their conversation. This assassin is the one from before and is in rank 37 of the assassin. For some reason her target is the dog and tries to attack him, but as I said, it's not really him but Seven in disguise. The cat defends him from the assassin's attacks and calls his army to attack. When she looks back she sees that the dog had put his foot and run away. He stops on a street, thinking he's lost her, but of course not. She finds him, and with no way out he undoes his disguise to show she's got the wrong target, but she doesn't believe it and thinks the dog is the one disguising himself as a human. That is, he disguises himself with various objects to try to prove that he really wasn't her target, but nothing convinces, leading him to fight her while looking for a way to escape. This form comes through of a kind of flying chicken that he keeps in his pocket, bro. But what? Yeah, that strange chicken there takes him and flies away, but she pulls some shuriken from Naruto and throws it in his direction, making him fall face down ground, leaving no choice but to continue fighting. His best technique is to separate the scissors in two to attack from two sides, and she shortens shortens the distance to defeat him. She attacks him with her braid that has a blade and her only the choice is to kiss her to avoid. She gets so gung-ho with that she attacks Seven with everything, and the one who saves him from this attack is that chicken that buffed up and got muscular. Right after that, the cat appears behind her with his army, leaving the killer surrounded and forcing her to retreat, and as she walks away she looks at Seven and says she will kill him someday. The scene cuts to Seven's facade work with a client showing him a picture. This one, the photo was of the target she wanted him to kill, but he thinks she was a normal customer who wanted the same cut as the photo, and he cuts it exactly like that, leaving the vein almost bald. This guy is an animal bro kkkkkk. The target was a guy who collected panties. Seven finds this guy and uses his disguise equipment to change into panties in the middle of the street. This strange guy finds the panties, takes them home and hangs them on the wall. Seven then takes advantage to attack him while his back is turned, but he is accidentally hit by the guy and falls to the ground, remembering that he is still in panties mode. But before he could complete his work, that vein from before appears there with two girls saying that he would set this guy's house on fire. He assumes he collects panties, but says he buys them himself and none are stolen. She throws the torch towards the wall, but Seven cuts it off and appears there to defend this guy. The vein says who doesn't trust Seven, and that's why he put a tracker on him to find out where this guy's house was. They talk a little, but soon he is attacked by her henchmen who beat him up and manage to immobilize him, at least at the beginning, because soon he uses his scissors to let go and fights the vein in the X1. This fight was very live. Okay, he defeats the vein in a way that I won't even talk about here, and that guy thanks him for defending. A while after all this, a lady was selling oranges on the street. She looks like a sweet and docile old lady, but in fact she is a deadbeat and scammer mother's daughter who made a guy pay a lot of money for 1 kilo of oranges, threatening to say that he hit her if he didn't pay. Okay, but what does she have to do with the protagonist? She is Seven's new target who goes after her disguised as a box. When she leaves, she notices an empty box behind her that wasn't there before and decides to step on it to make it fit in his shopping bag, and after doing that Seven gets really pissed at her. He changes his disguise to her shopping bag and was about to complete his job, but a dog appears and bites the bag, wanting the bone that was inside. As that bag was Seven, he had to untransform because the dog was biting his egg, and to make matters worse, after returning to normal, the vein pierces him with the business of tying her hair while telling him to pay for the bag. Then she goes to pick up grandson at school across the street and sees him with shaved hair. She asks who did this to him, and the kid points to Seven, leaving the vein so pissed that an aura starts to come out of her that looks more like DBZ's KI. He remembers that her grandson came to his barber shop with his father and he ordered the death of the vein. He keeps asking himself why, but he doesn't have much time to think why. The vein takes off his top clothes, revealing a suit like you find in +18 stores with shop in the name. LOL. She hits him one more time, and seeing that blue chicken says he's not good at being a murderer and throws some arrows against her grandson, she notices and throws herself in front to protect him and take the arrows just like the chicken wanted, but Seven uses his scissors to save her because he wanted to save a vein that went down the dick in him. I don't know anymore. The scene cuts showing him about to kill another target, a girl who was cornered and had nowhere to run. She says that before she died she had some wishes she would like to fulfill and asks Seven to help her fulfill them before killing her. Basically this episode of the anime boils down to the two doing exactly that, fulfilling all her wishes that range from eating at a 5-star restaurant without having money to pay and running out there to riding a lion. And it's worth remembering that she has a power in which she freezes anyone of the opposite sex she touches, and this generates several comic scenes of her touching the protagonist so he can't move and screw himself for that. At the end of the day she already had done everything she wanted on her list, and Seven says that the time has come to kill her. But while she looks at the ocean she says that she doesn't want to die, but that she would die anyway because she has cancer, and also reveals that who it was Seven who took the trouble to kill her. She turns back, says she's ready, and tells Seven to finish it off. He even throws his scissors at her but stops at the last second, saying he wasn't going to kill her but he was going to keep the money to pay a doctor he knew could cure her. It is with this beautiful scene that I end this video. This was the summary of the first 6 episodes of Scissor 7, a very funny comedy that I recommend it to everyone. I'm willing to do a part 2, so leave a lot of like and comment if you want more.